always felt this pull of like, I want more. I want more. I'm built
Yeah.
for more. I need to do more. And doing more and looking to success, I didn't really necessarily know what that meant. And so I just sort of followed this blueprint of what I saw. I knew I wanted like this corporate existence, this nice college pedigree and white picket fence, all the things. And just because
Yeah.
I saw other people getting that, and that's like you've arrived, right? So anyway, I got a job at Google. I wasn't even sure I fit there. I always felt like I was trying to be something I wasn't because
Hello, listener. I think you're going to like this episode just as much as I do. I have in the studio with me today Stacey Kulongowski. She is a coach, an author, a podcast host, and she is really freaking amazing at what she does. So come on in and learn more about the Bring Your Big Energy podcast, book, and coaching system called Spark. I'm already laughing, listener. Here I am. I am with an awesome guest, Stacey Kulongowski. Did I pronounce that correctly?
you got it, Lisa. Well done.
Thank you very much. It feels like a vocal exercise, so I get to stretch my cheeks and really open up my mouth, which is really nice. Because this next hour or so is going to be all about you. Now, listeners, Stacey is an author and she's a host of her own podcast, and I had the privilege and honor of being a guest on your show. I cannot wait to share that with everybody. But let's bring you in here into this studio. Find your flow. Stacey, let me ask my burning question, and that is, what does flow mean to you?
I love this notion of flow. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. I feel like we're cosmic connected forever now, and we've briefly just met. So flow to me, Lisa, isn't about like things going easy or things always going well. It's about really finding where you're not fighting yourself and it just organically happens, right? So it's when my energy, I'm big on energy. So it's when my energy aligns with my values, with my purpose, and the actions I'm actually living out to do that, right? So even if the work is super hard, if it's work I love, when I'm in flow, I'm not forcing anything. I'm not proving anyone. I'm not performing, right? I'm authentically me. And I'm responding honestly to what's true for me and moving forward with the intention instead of like self-criticism or self-betrayal. So I think the best example for me is I'm a coach, as you know, and I coach lots of folks on how to get more jobs and how to be better leaders and all those things. But on a day I have a full client roster, if I'm coaching all day, Lisa, I literally get to the end of the day. I'm like, wait, did I eat? Did I have water? Did I bio? Like, what is happening? Because I just have this big smile on my face, and my kids will even be like, so you had a client date? And I'll be like, yeah, it's so good. And it's those moments where your clients are like, you changed my life. And I'm like, girl, I didn't change your life. You changed your life.
That's
I
right.
just held the space. I asked you provocative questions. So yeah, flow is like that ease of being authentically you and being in the work or the fun that you love, and you don't even realize time has passed.
Yeah, let's call it. I've been struggling with that when people say, what do you do? And you know that question leads into, what do you do for work? What is your job? What do you work at? And I've really been struggling with that question because I don't like the answer. My job is, or my work is. It's fun. Can we please replace the word work with fun? My fun is. I love that. What a change of perspective.
Yes. I agree. I completely agree. I hate it when I'm like, oh, I got to do some work. It's like, I don't have to do anything. Number one, I own my own business. I'm so blessed. I want my clients all happy. So that is what drives me. But we get to do this work, right? And that's the difference where it's flow versus working 9 to 5. Not that anything's wrong with a 9 to 5 working for the man. I did it for a lot of years. And it really gave me a very privileged existence to be able to do what I'm doing today. But I do think there's something to be said about that.
Now, okay. So according to your definition of flow, which I absolutely love, right? That there's not without its challenges, but if you feel like you can take it all and move with it, things are a little bit in ease, not easier, but you're flowing with ease. So when was a time when you were not flowing with ease?
Yeah. So it took me a long time to be brave enough to tell these stories, but I think they're so important because I wish I would have known other people were going through the same things when I was. And so the story for me is, and I call it an intensity point in my world, something that kind of shifts and shakes your existence. and makes you realign to like be in flow, right? It's really a call. A
Yes.
lot of the work we do is similar in terms of that, where we're
Absolutely.
meeting our people that we're here to serve and support. But I will say for me, the story goes, grew up, very like lower middle class, small town, class D school. I could do whatever I wanted. Like I started our cheer program. I was head of all the things. I was like a 4-sport athlete because you
Why does
did
that
not
not
make the
surprise
team.
me?
Well, you didn't have to get through, right? Like, at least I graduated with 33 kids. And the reason I said it was better, it was a little town and I always felt real big for it, right? And I love my
Yeah.
town and I love my parents and I love all my upbringing, but I always felt this pull of like, I want more, I want more, I'm built for
Yeah.
more, I need to do more. And doing more and looking to success, I didn't really necessarily know what that meant. And so I just sort of followed this blueprint of what I saw, not even on the internet because it didn't exist, but maybe people on TV. I don't really know because no one was doing this where I grew up. I was very insulated. But I knew I wanted like this corporate existence, this nice college pedigree and white picket fence, all the things. And just because
Yeah.
I saw other people getting that, that's like you've arrived, right? And so I had a great career in advertising. I took a moment off to be with my babies, which was wonderful. And then I got a job at a little place called Google. And it was right when they were
Just
opening.
a small
Just a
little
small,
like
everybody was
startup.
heard of it. By the time I left, I just pulled this yesterday just for funsies. By the time I left, I had bet they have almost 200 and some thousand employees or so. And by the time I left, I was there longer than 97% of them. So that's how old school I am.
Holy cow.
Yeah. That's how old school. So anyway, I got a job at Google. I wasn't even sure I fit there. I always felt like I was trying to be something I wasn't because when I joined there, I had 15 years of advertising agency experience and 2 kids, by the way. I
Really
remember
good
that
at what you do.
What's that?
Really good at what you do.
I was really good at what I did, but I think when I went to Google, they didn't really know what to do with me because everyone else was 22 right out of college. So I was the most like senior person that wasn't a manager.
You were
leading.
old. How
Yeah,
old were
I was
you when
old.
you were old?
I was old. I missed you then. I had 2 babies then. So I must have been 34. So that's like a
So
dinosaur.
old.
That's a dinosaur at Google, right? And I remember them being like, we should do a play date with my start class. And I was like, ooh, they must have kids too. And no, they actually meant let's go to the bar, which I also am here for. Anyway, so I always from day one felt like I was trying to be something I wasn't. I came in as an independent contributor. I very much had been leading huge teams for General Motors and the agency stuff, all the stuff I had been doing, these huge events. And I just was like, wow, this is just not a great fit, but it's Google. So like, I'm going to try it. And so I worked my way into it. After 6 months, I almost said, I'm going to leave. And my manager was like, please don't leave. We think you're amazing. Let's make this work. And he really, really worked with me. Shout out to Mike. He was like a beautiful human, still is. Anyway, so he really worked with me. So I stayed. So I stayed 13 years. And I've been saying like 10 great and 3 not so great, but that's a lie. I've really been reflecting more. I actually had probably 12 great years and 1 just really bad year. And I don't know, shame on Google. Like what ended up happening, and this is where I got out of flow, is I just kept chasing the more things and more promotions. And
Yes.
being a director at Google is like moving a mountain. Like becoming president might be easier. Like it just literally was this massive thing. And the whole time I thought like, I'm this little poor girl from Northern Michigan. I don't really deserve to be here. I always felt like that. No matter how much money I made.
I should be grateful.
I did. Yeah. I should be so grateful. If I just work harder, they're not going to know. Because in my start class, our first meeting, everyone's like, where do you summer? Where did you study abroad? And I'm not joking. Like Yale, Harvard, all the things, right? Great people, but very well heeled, much more than I was. So I come to this moment during COVID. I had a team at that point that my boss and I, who I love, 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 we had built to be a $2 billion, 200-person team. And it was a massive undertaking. And we loved our team. And then after COVID, we could not rebound, right? Like we couldn't get our sales quota. We were a sales team. We just couldn't rebound. We couldn't do it. We couldn't fix it. And I remember going into this meeting, and it's in the book, but I went into this meeting. It was all these people I admired, and I had my strategy ready, and I was presenting what we were doing to get back to our sales quota. And I just felt attacked by our vice president. And I think it's because I was in very much fight or flight. I was a cancer survivor at the time. A first-time cancer survivor. I never told a soul. So I was getting promoted and getting burned in the morning for radiation and getting surgeries, never taking a day off work, never telling a soul. So by the time we come to this meeting, I'm just so depleted, so out of flow with who I even am, or my values, or what I want out of life. And I just had this moment where I felt attacked and I was just, don't cry, don't cry. And everyone was pinging me, all my director beloveds. They're like, you got this, girl, just make it through the end of the call. And I remember getting off the call and I remember just like sitting there for 5 minutes at a blank screen, like, what just happened? And it was the first time I felt like I failed in my life. 48
Wow.
years old. It was the first failure I ever felt in my life. Because again, Class D school, A+ student,
Right.
high honors from Michigan State. Like I just worked harder to make sure I didn't fail. And so I didn't have any of the answers. And I remember just finally shutting my computer off and I was under my desk and I just started shaking and bawling. And I called my business partner at the time, my assistant executive business partner. I said, Michelle, I think I need to take a couple weeks off. And she had a front row seat to all the things. And I always joke that she's the best thing that ever happened to me. And that does include my children and my husband. That's where all of this human was at. And so I ended up taking a 6-month health, like a mandated therapy leave from Google, which by the way, people just do, it's not a thing you do.
Right.
And I
You
needed to
push
find my
and
flow
push
again.
and push.
Yes, you push, push, push. You don't cry about it. You just push through. And so I did. I took 6 months off and I did a lot of healing. And we could talk through that if that's interesting, all the things that I did. But that's really where I was most out of flow. I just remember thinking like, what am I even doing here? What cost is this money for anymore? And I'm like, I think I'm a pretty great mom. Sometimes I'll say I'm a C+ mom, and my kids joke. They're like, you're actually not, mom. And my husband tells me I didn't miss a thing, but I gotta imagine I missed some things, right? Because I was a global player. I was traveling, I was presenting, I was leading award ceremonies, I was doing all this stuff. And I think in that moment, I just was like, this isn't even aligned. I want to be a great mom. And I remember when I joined Google, I literally said to my manager, like, I got to be a 9 to 5. Like, if this is a grind, I've got kids. And I remember my manager was like, yes. And he held me to it. And all of those years, all the managers I have to say, I took the month of July off for like 13 years. Like literally. And so there was a lot of support until there wasn't, until COVID, until the hardness. So that is my story of out of the flow, Lisa.
That's, thank you for sharing that, because I think that so many of us, me included, you get caught up in this goal, like this
Yep.
vision of what you think your life should be. And
Yep.
listen, you have to follow that because it's all a part of your journey, and all of that makes you who you are today. So without having, I can't call it a misstep, I can't call it a misdirection, without having followed that heart call,
Yep.
you wouldn't have reached a breaking point. You wouldn't have lived through that breaking point, and you wouldn't be who you are today to be able to share all of that experience, which makes you the expert in your life, but all of that experience and all of that knowledge with the people that you serve today. It's really
100%.
interesting. We have these chunks of time in the stories of our lives. Sounds like such a soap opera, but we have these chunks of time, these seasons. And for me, I tried corporate. Listen, I went to college and I graduated with a political science degree and with a concentration in political theory and a minor in philosophy. I was absolutely tapped on the shoulder for think tanks all over DC.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I had to make a decision. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And something inside me said, yeah, this is not the road for you. Go be a teacher. So I turned down a 6-figure job right out of college. And back then, 30 years ago, that's a shit ton of money now. It was like a shit ton of money, listeners.
Right.
I'm sure, like, if you're my age, you remember that was like life altering, and I chose a $6.25 job being a teacher's assistant to figure out who the hell I was at the moment. From there, we wound up in Boston, Massachusetts, and I wound up, long story short, working for Fidelity Investments. Really good at what I did, knowing all along that it wasn't necessarily a true reflection of me, but I was really good at it, and everybody I worked with, I loved so much. I'm still in touch with some of them, and they also played their part in creating who I am today. And that chunk of time, going for my MBA, having a 4.0 in an MBA program, and all of the things all come together in this culmination of who I am. So listeners, can I just tell you, if you're on the younger side, There's a thing called the quarter life crisis where you graduate college and you're like, wait a second, I think I graduated with the wrong thing. And I want to change where I am right now in my life. Then we have like this breakdown right around the age of 40 when we're like, like my kids have grown and they don't necessarily need me as much, or I didn't have kids, or I'm in a marriage and I want to get divorced. We all have these intensity points in our lives. That's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. These are not crises, they are opportunities. And then in your 50s, fuck it, you're going to do it again. You're going to redefine again. And there are these moments in our lives where we have these beautiful resets. Stacey, you have had numerous resets over your life. Tell me about the impact of these, the culmination of these reset periods in your life that bring you to who you are today, where you are today, and what it is that you're doing, because you're
Thank you.
I fell in love with you in the first like nanosecond.
Same.
Listeners, we had like a pre-screening for her podcast and we were like, why didn't we schedule this to be 5 hours long? Oh, this is so much fun. It's a conversation that could just keep going. But here we are getting to know each other even better. So share with me what it is that you share with the listeners. Don't share it with me, but share it with the listeners. And I get to listen along the way. Where are you now? Who do you work with? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I think of the way, so how I found my way back questions, that was fascinating. I had to try a lot of stuff that was the word woo-woo that I was like, what is this?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So really quickly on the find the way back. So what I did, because I think it's important for people, and I'm not saying it's because I have the answers. I'm saying it's because like I'm still in the messy middle, and I'll talk about that too, because I'm very honest about where I'm at second round of cancer wise. But I will say in terms of finding my way back and getting to do the work that I do, what I ended up doing in that 6-month leave was I did a lot of therapy, like lots of therapy, right? So that is like hands down the best thing I did.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah.
Then I just started trying things that I hadn't tried, because what I realized was to rebuild myself, I had to try things that I hadn't been trying before. It's that whole, I think it's like James Campbell is like the hero story guy, the father of the hero story, says something along like, if you want to have a new life, you have to be able to get rid of the one that you had before, right? And I firmly believe that. And so there's a lot of reprogramming that I had to do. There was a lot of identity work I had to do, because I had become a Googler. I mean, that's what we call ourselves. So I think for me, when I had that breakdown and when I was going through the work, a lot of the work I did was identity work and releasing myself from that. And as a coach, that is part of we are actually taught in immunity change, a lot of these other things, but one of them is your work identity. So that's one of the pieces of our program that we do. But that being said, and I have a whole work identity piece in my book, I had to really peel that apart, right? And then what I also did in my 6 months is I did like yoga for a month. I had never been a yogi. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like an awkward giraffe, but like 5'1" and like a little overweight. Like that's my vibe, right?
I love that. There's a book called Giraffes Can't Dance, Gerald the Giraffe.
Okay.
It's a little kid's book, and yet I highly suggest you get it because I referenced that book so many times.
Okay, I love that. I'm going to take a note of that for sure. And so then I was like, gosh, I'm a huge runner. I always wanted to run like a marathon, but I'm like, I don't know if I can bite off a marathon, but a half marathon. And so like on those long runs and in that yoga, like I think exercise is so important because it just, the way that your brain works, it just started to like move me into a direction that I was like always thinking and always having ideas and like, what if, and all this good stuff. And then I spent like a month just at the lake, like drinking beer on my boat and hanging with my kids and friends. And so I did a lot of that. And the culmination of my work on myself I went to this place called Kripalu Health and Yoga Retreat, and it's in the Berkshire Mountains. And it's a very Spartan situation. It used to be like a Jesuit like monastery or something like that. But they had me doing like mindful archery. Like what is happening? Like silent breakfast, like sound healing. I think you and I talked about sound healing, which was such a yummy, beautiful treat for me and really huge breakthrough. So I had a lot of breakthroughs there. And what I came to, and it took me 6 months to get there because I was like, I still thought I was going to go back and like get another job at Google. Like I was like, oh, maybe this just isn't a job, or LinkedIn, who I love, or Pinterest. I'm very well connected now at this point in my career. And what ended up happening, I'm sitting on there on this top of this like beautiful like turret, and the sun's coming through the clouds, and it's like this beautiful moment. And I'm like, wait, I don't have to wear that old outfit. I don't have to. And
Yeah.
sure, I'm going to have to sell my husband on the big fat check on the bank
That's
account,
right.
but I don't have to do this. And so I came back and I talked to my husband about it. He's completely supportive. I'm like, I think I need to leave. I just don't think this is fitting me anymore. And he literally was like, I think it's slowly killing you. Like it wasn't good. I'd already
Yeah.
had cancer once. I
Woo!
was so burnt out. Like that, your body's telling you something. And it wasn't exactly whispering at that point. And then I remember telling my kids like, well, mommy's not going to work at Google anymore. And I remember being so worried that they would be like, what a loser, dude. Or like,
Right.
wait, the slide and the llamas and the cookies, like no more, like
Right.
the free
Right.
trainings, the move, whatever. And my one daughter said, it's okay, mama. You're just going to do something else amazing because you're amazing. Like that
Oh,
quick. That quick they knew, Lisa. They're just like, duh, you'll do. And here I am doing what is, I think, pretty freaking amazing.
yes.
Anyway, long story short, while I was going through that, I was starved for stories about people who'd walked through some shit, if you will. You said I could curse, so there's my first curse.
That's right.
And then,
Yay.
yay! And then
I should have
also,
a bell or something. Ding,
that's right.
yay.
But then also, I was really wanting like a framework or something because I can be pretty analytical, and so I really wanted some sort of a framework to help me to get through it. And so actually, I was at a book signing this weekend, and this woman asked me the best question I've ever been asked. She's like, well, how did Spark just come to be? And how did you know the letters and the things? And I'm like, gosh, I never thought about that. But it's sort of like how books aren't written, they're built. It just
Yeah.
kind of was like that. It just started coming to me. And so I was like, I think I have to be the one to fix this. I think a lot of times the people that have the best tools are the people that have needed them the most. And I'm like, okay, this is what
Absolutely.
it is, right? Like necessity is the mother invention, right? It's a thing.
That's right.
So anyway, I started building it, and I started with purpose first. So I'm like, oh, I do all this vision work for everyone. I had been leading vision board workshops for years. By this time, I'm also an executive coach. I'm like ACC certified. So I had been doing it in the background at Google, just like coaching a bunch of Googlers, and doing that kind of thing. And I had never really thought that I was going to use it to build my own business. I just knew I wanted to be a coach and have the credentials, and I loved doing it. So, and then I was like, well, wait, all this purpose stuff that I'm doing and working on, that's great, but I can't find anything anywhere where people are talking about what happened before. Like, wait, we didn't just show up here from another planet. Like, we got some baggage. And so I think you got to deal with that first. And so that's when the S came for Spark, of Spark. So my framework Spark, but then the S came kind of second. And I was like, we got to back up to go forward. And then it just kind of was like, S is self-reflection, P is purpose. Then I was like, what do you need to let go of? That's where abandon came. How do you tell if you're doing good or not? Because especially high achievers, oh, I hit the goalpost. No, goalpost. No, you didn't. It's got to be higher.
That's
It's got to be higher. It's got to be higher. So I wanted some sort of a measure of a system that would work, but also be not another burnout trigger, right?
That's
It's
right.
actually real
Yeah.
expectations. And then in kinetic energy, it's about, sharing your opinion, sharing your story. It's about building your community. It's about actively listening to yourselves and doing that authentic thing that we all have a hard time doing. And so that's sort of what I did to find my way back. And that's what I built. And now so then I ended up writing the book. And in the book is the process. And then I do a lot of coaching and keynote speaking and a lot of workshops on the Spark process now. And it's helped hundreds of thousands of leaders and people and common person on the street versus like some of the CEOs I'm work with. I'm like, all right, hear me out. We're going to try something different. Right. And so I just feel blessed to be able to share it. And that's really what's helped save me. And then I think I'm able to help save others now.
Oh, this is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So in your book, Bring Your Big Energy, can the reader learn more about the Spark process?
Yes. So it's outlined in the beginning. There's some true stories of my own and kind of what I just shared here. And then there's 20 other stories of other storytellers that I have the honor to showcase in the book who have reached intensity points and needed to rebuild and use the process to do that. And before they even knew it was the process, right? There's a lot of elements there. And then the book goes on to be broken out for each chapter is a deep dive into with actual hands-on engagement and activities. And if you buy the book from my website, you can actually get a companion workbook for free too. And it just takes you through all of those Ignite the Spark exercises so that you can actually formulaically do it as you are following the process yourself. You can pause. You can do the whole thing in a day if you're like, I'm all in, really, and just go through the exercises, or you can kind of take bite-sized pieces and their invitations of different experiments that you want to try. You don't have to try them all. And so that's sort of how it works out. There's a big leader because I coach a lot of leaders. I was a leader for a long time. Leadership is very important to me. So there is a whole section that I did on leadership as well, because I work with a lot of corporate clients who want the spark, but they want it like as like a leadership thing. I actually just have some kickoff for an amazing brand. I'm so excited to partner with them in a couple weeks here. And it's all about like taking that spark process, but from like all levels, people working on the line, people working night shifts, and being able to give them that opportunity to leverage it.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. That's a perfect segue, by the way. What is your website? Because I would much prefer to purchase directly from your website than to go anywhere else. So what's your website?
Yes.
Listen, and listeners, it's going to be in the notes, but anyway.
Yeah. No, but I think, Lisa, that's a great point, because someone just chose me for a book club, which is great, at my fitness center. Yay! And there's so many people in it, but they all bought from Amazon. And so as authors, so for anyone that knows and loves their authors and really wants to help them, go to Amazon, write the reviews for sure. But if you buy directly for us, it's such a better investment, and it really just helps us financially in a way better, much, much, much stronger way. So Amazon is an absolute gift to be able to get out there and get exposure. But yeah, anytime you can get a handwritten, signed, workbook.
That's right. And a free workbook, for God's sake.
Exactly. So everything I do is at Bring Your Big Energy. So whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook page, and my website is www.bringyourbiguenergy.com. And my interns got me all set up on there. You can go to the shop. You can go to the podcast. You can buy the book. You can learn about coaching. All the things are there available to you.
That's fantastic. Absolutely organized. And I love, love, love it. All right. So can we please segue into helping our listeners with like what would be if you could give them something, an exercise of some sort to be able to make change immediately in their lives, just something to get started with as soon as they listen to this episode. What can they do?
I mean, honestly, you can do the spark process in a one-sheeter in like 5 minutes. But I will say...
Okay, so there you have it, listener. Buy the book, get the workbook, and get it going. Just do it.
Well, listen, if you want to email me, I'll send you the free one-pager even. Like literally, right? That's how passionate I am about it. I'm happy to send that to anyone on the show that wants it as a partnership with you. But I think because it really just about like reflect what's serving you and what's not serving you, igniters and drainers. So that's the first thing I guess I would start with is the self-reflection part, which is like igniting and draining. And so what I do at the beginning of every year is I'll take my planner. I have an old school planner that I love.
Love you.
And I will take it out and I'll go through every single thing I did that year. And it takes some time, and I will write down like what were my igniters. I have an igniters like time with my kids, public speaking, things I love. And then I'll have drainers like, building my website. That's why I got an intern, girl. Cause I was like, this is drain.com. Right. And so I think it's like really just understanding what ignites you and then what drains you. And then just asking yourself, what do I want to even be doing? Right. So it's just a good look in the mirror. It's like the Taylor Swift, song lyric where she says, I'll look directly into the sun, but I'm afraid to look in the mirror kind of thing, which is so powerful. But that's really what it is, to look in the mirror to say, what am I even doing? What's working? What's not working? And I don't have to live this way. That's what I would want them to know. You don't have to live this way. You don't have to live this way. If life is not serving you in the way that you want it to, you're the only person in charge. Right. So, yeah, that's
right. And that's not to say that it won't have its challenges. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
There are going to be emotional, mental, physical, spiritual challenges to rewriting your entire life.
Yes.
But at some point, and I'm a firm believer of this, at some point, you really do have to stop, pause, and go, wait a second.
Yeah.
What in the actual hell is happening here? What am I doing? I think, feel, know that 2026 is a time to embrace more wealth, more opportunity, more prosperity, more joy, more happiness. But we sort of have to get it together. So to get us there, I created a program called the Held Container. Let me ask you a question. Does your life work because you feel you hold everything together? You brace for things, you brace for life. If you can say yes to that, then I invite you to pause. Take a breath. The Held Container is a small, intentional program designed to replace bracing with structure so your nervous system can rest and money no longer feels stressful or overwhelming. This isn't about pushing harder, fixing yourself, or doing more. It's about creating safety, stability, support where you've been carrying everything alone. I've opened this program for only 6 people. 6 people who are ready to allow money to feel safe instead of stressful and to experience what it's like to be held by structure rather than pressure. I think we can all identify with that. So if this feels calm instead of exciting, it's not a coincidence. Your system is already responding to the Held Container. Apply now. Apply at nagarelife.com. I hope we get to work together. I'll see you inside. And instead of waiting to a point of ailment, we have that in common, right? When you run yourself into a point of ailment, instead of that, my God, if we could pause and just listen earlier in the game and go, something doesn't feel right, something's off in my life. And then go and do like this, I don't know, like take stock of your entire life. I'm married. Does that feel off? No. Okay, great. I have kids. Does that feel off? No, that still feels good. I have this job. Does that feel off? Something inside me just squirmed a little bit. I got a little bit of, this is where I live. Does that feel off? Well, that actually makes me like, I want to run and hide somewhere.
Right,
and you have to literally go through all of your life. And see, for me with Feng Shui, I'm like, go step inside a room and go take a look around and say, do I still like that lamp? Do I still like that chest of drawers? Do I like that rug? How does it feel in here? So when you can apply those principles to the rest of your life and, your job is just a chest of drawers at that point, you go, wait a second, do I enjoy that? Do I, just like when you walk into a room, do you like what you see or do you dislike what you see? This is your life, for God's sake. We get one. One as this version of ourselves. So you can believe in, being born again and all of the things. But you have this moment, this time. This only happens right here, right now. That's it. What are you going to do with it? So you definitely have your challenges, right? Yeah. What were your challenges?
Well, it's interesting. I think we as humans, we're always second guessing ourselves, right? So I still to this day, I'll be like, what am I doing? Like sometimes it's a little bit like, what is happening, right? And then I'm like, oh no, that's the why. So I'm just building for that why. That's right. But I would say in terms of challenges, I mean, you said before, like rewriting your life, it doesn't come without hardships. It doesn't come with like the messy. It doesn't happen overnight, by the way. It's not like the montage in a cute rom-com. It's not.
God, I wish it were, but it's not.
God, I wish it were too, girl, but it's just not. And so for me, even so when I was finishing the book, I planned a national book tour. I had 12 stops. The book was not completely even done because that's how kind of things work, but it was being published. And I ended up getting cancer the second time while I was in the midst of this giant life I was building. And so I had a choice, and it was much more aggressive this time. I had to lose both of my breasts. I had chemo, which I was allergic to. It was a very awful journey. So I'm not going to belittle it at all. But when I stood on that stage for my marquee book launch event, 2 days before my surgery, and I was all bloated up from all the chemo and all the things, and everyone was like there for me and excited to celebrate the book, I was like, and I said on the stage, the reason that I'm still here is because I want to be living proof that in the messy middle, it can still effing happen. And guess what? My dream is so big. My why is so big. I'm not willing to let go of it. Right. And so for me, that's what it was. I'm not going to let some stupid cancer thing get in my way. I don't want to be divine. It's like when people die from cancer, I just read this the other day. It's so sad. They're like, well, Stacey lost her battle. That's such a shitty thing to say.
I think
No
that's
one lost.
bullshit. That
No
makes me
one
mad.
lost. I've been fighting my ass off. If it doesn't end up the way I want it to end up, it doesn't end up. But all that to say, I firmly believe that you've got to be so rooted in your why that you've got to believe in whatever, the universe or faith or whatever it is. I've never been so close with my journey with the Father than I am today. But all that to say, I think it was better that I did my big book tour when I was in the messy middle. I look back and I can't believe I even made it happen, but it really connected with people who were like sending me notes like, I don't have cancer, but I have crippling anxiety and I can't leave the house, but you're giving me the power to leave the house. Or I just got diagnosed with MS, or I have a friend who has breast cancer. Can she talk to you? And it just really created, I think, this openness and vulnerability of people in the community to be able to come forward and honor me with being able to help them in whatever way, shape I can. Again, I had days when I was depressed. I still have days where I wake up and I'm just like, I'm so sad. I don't have like my normal body. It's so weird. It's so Frankenstein. But then I'm like, girl, pick up your bootstraps and move on. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can't change the past. You are directly in charge of changing the future. That is very much what you are in charge of. You can change your attitude anytime you want. It's free. My husband always says to my kids whenever they're grumpy, you know what? You can have as much fun as you want to. And it's so true. And so I think that was a lot of the challenges, right? Even my audiobook, my publisher, who they were lovely, nothing bad on them, but they were like, we really just don't, the producer's like, I really don't love the idea of you recording it while you're going through chemo because chemo's very hard on your body. And I was like, I'm a coach though. And my whole point in my audiobook is I want you to feel like I'm in your pocket. I'm in your ear. I'm with you. I'm like, let's go, sis. We got this. And I wanted that for my community. And I felt like they deserved that. And not that I'm so full of myself, but I felt like my voice mattered. I guess maybe that's what it comes down to. And so I did.
Not only does your voice matter, but it's your energy, your essence gets shared.
Yes.
Not somebody else's energy and essence. There is something about authenticity. Doesn't even feel like big enough word. It's like literally your essence gets shared. So like you taking the stage for your book tour in the middle of, oh my God, in the middle of it all.
I know. It's wild to think about it.
I mean, just unzip yourself, open yourself up and share your heart. Yeah. I mean, that's literally what you were able to do. That's a huge gift. I mean, kudos to you for having the physical strength, the aptitude to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to show up, to be a healing healer.
You know what? It's so interesting. You're saying there's a woman in my community who lost her son. And she does she's got her own foundation, all the things, but they just built this huge like skate park. And I don't really even know her that well. I saw her at a women's event. I remember someone said to her, like, how do you go on? Like, it's got to be really hard. And yet you do so much for the community. And she said the best way to help yourself is to help others first. And I was like, that's Gabrielle, that's freaking it. And so I think that was part of it too for me. If I could do the tour, if I could finish the book, if I could record the audiobook, I could give back to others something. And I wasn't sitting around being like, well, there go my boobs, or chemo's gonna suck today. It doesn't give you the opportunity to be so inward focused all the time. And so I think whether healthy or not, therapists could say one way or another. But for me, that was really what kept my positive attitude alive and what I think expedited my healing, because it wasn't about me. It suddenly became about this big why in this book and meeting people and talking to people and honoring their stories. That just felt like such a gift to me.
Well, and through that process, you got to honor your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a beautiful harmony that happened. Listen, there is a difference between completely ignoring what you're going through to be able to sort of offload that onto others. Yeah. That's completely different, right? I get the feeling, at least, that part of your process of accepting your journey, the spectacular experience that you went through, and by spectacular, I mean in all ways, like the negative, the positive, the neutral, all of it it's spectacular in its own way. And the way to process that is to be as honest as you can. I don't think that you just were like completely ignoring your
Yeah.
needs
Yeah.
to be able to go, I'm just going to give to others, because you wouldn't have recovered.
Yes. No, that's
You
true.
know what I mean?
You're still putting the work in on yourself. Absolutely. But the first
Exactly.
time I had cancer, like I said, I didn't tell anyone, didn't take any time off work. It was the loneliest, saddest, shame-filled
Yeah.
experience I could even invite someone to have. And so I think the second time around, I was like, I'm building a freaking tribe. I'm building my
Yeah.
Energy Hive Squad. I'm not doing this alone. And I'm so glad I did. Now what it does get weird too is when people meet me in the book, they're meeting me at the end of the book. I'm just talking about getting cancer for the second time, because I did write it into the book, because I worked with my publisher, and that was the recommendation. And I'm so glad I did. But it's fascinating because I'm so far past that now
Yeah.
but people still see me. And so they'll come up and they'll want to talk a lot about cancer. And I'm kind of like, wait, what? Why is that the story? I'm like, oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. That's how I end the book. And so I think that's been also
Because I
like
invited you into that part of my life. Oops. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And not that I regret it, but it's just an interesting, I hadn't thought about that here
Yeah.
we are 3 years later, 2 years later, whatever it is. I lose track of time, but I don't know. It's just, that's an odd part of the experience as well.
It's interesting how everything comes back. You know, all of these cycles, they wind up coming back. My injury had taken me, into a prolonged pause. And listeners, you can learn more about that. Go on over to the Bring Your Big Energy podcast and listen to my story when it's published.
Yes.
But I shared with you, I spent, a good 9 months in a period of loneliness and self-induced seclusion and shame that came with that. How can somebody so active, so healthy, who helps others heal, be injured herself? And then fast forward, I come out of it to be able to help others because I've been through that journey, and you take that experience and you become the expert. And then there I am running my studio, and my back went out on me, and I was like, and I'm supposed to host an open house. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And that's when a colleague said, Lisa, you're the healing healer. There is nothing better than a healing healer. Someone who will come out, stage center, shine the light on their healing journey, to provide a mirror to others, to say, look, none of us are perfect. None of perfection is impossible. Like the second you accept that, that's what makes you perfect, So to be able to, right? To be able to stand there in your imperfection and say, this is who I am, and this is what makes me so spectacular, and this is what makes my journey so spectacular. That level of honesty, that's what you bring to the table. It's utterly amazing to me. It's that enters a room before you do. It's what made me fall in love with you in an instant.
Thank you.
And because of all that you've been through in your life, all the ups, all the downs, all of the growth, all of the experience, I imagine that your clients are like, I can take my jacket off. I can take this mask off. I can hang up, this skin suit, and I can just be here and bear it all.
Yes.
And there's zero judgment. Zero judgment. So listeners, you are the healing healers in your own life. You bring your expertise to every moment. And when you feel, this is where I'm going to start to lose it. But when you feel that you can't, or that it's hard, that there's a hardship, that there's a heaviness to it, that's when you go and you seek out the guidance and the expertise and the light and the love and the strength of a coach. And Stacey is among the best. She just is. And it's because of her authentic vulnerability in every single moment that you can trust that whatever it is that you're carrying, you can put down. And she's got you. That makes me cry because as we opened up a channel, we opened up a Reiki channel before every session. Every session becomes a healing session. So I get to experience all of the energy that is moving through Stacey, that is moving through you as the listener. And it brings me to humbled tears. It really does. I'm not crying for anyone's sorrow. I am filled with humbled joy and grace and gratitude. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Thank you for sharing little glimpses of your story and your expertise. It is so greatly appreciated by me and by the audience. There are the tears.
Oh.
There goes my awesome makeup. Like, come on. We made an agreement. My nose is going to turn red and I'm going to have streaks now. But truly, 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 thank you. Thank you so much. I love this concept, the spark process. I love that it sparks joy, it sparks curiosity, it sparks interest, and it sparks hope. And in that little bit of a spark starts a flame, and that flame creates a light, and that light allows you to see, and that ability to see brings hope. Oh my God. And if that is not so utterly necessary to be able to change your life, come on now.
Yeah.
Stacey, this has been an absolute joy. Are there any parting words? Is there anything that you want to share?
I would just round out what you said there is so beautiful, because I always say that what I hope that I give people is an inspiration, and I'm living proof that against all these odds, you can make your big dreams come true. Again, it might be hard. It might take longer than you thought. It's going to cost 2 times as much money, take 2 times as time. That I can promise you. But my hope is that everything I do, whether it's coaching or the book or the pod, that I am in the business of experience creation. And so my calling is really to create an experience that you leave me going, not she's perfect and wow, she just gave me the best advice, but wow, she's been through some stuff, I've been through some stuff, and with the right tools and the right conversation, I can rebuild my life too. And that is my hope for everyone that I get the opportunity to be honored to work with and to touch. So thank you so much for having me on the show. It has been a delight. This is just the beginning to our forever friendship for sure. But
I know,
I'm so glad I
feel the
met
same.
you, and I feel honored to be on the show today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is just incredible. Listeners, all of the information of where you can find Stacey will be in the show notes, so just scroll on down. You'll find her website, her book, and her podcast. And again, if you purchase her book from her website, you will get an awesome little worksheet that comes along, a workbook comes along with it. And if you need something to just get started, feel free to email her through her website, and she will send you a worksheet to ignite change in your life. Thank you so much for being here. Listeners, thank you for listening. I will see you or hear you or share with you next time. Bye. Okay, that's it, listener. Before you go, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and set your notifications to never miss an episode. If you'd like even more with me, come on over to nagarelife.com. And if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, go on and share it. Share it with somebody that you think would enjoy it as well. All right. I'll see you next time.